All right, we are back. Hello, hello. Welcome. We are back. Hello, hello. Welcome back. So today we are doing something a little different. Um, we're doing messing around with Magic the Gathering Arena, absolutely. But a new set has come out. I'm so excited, so pumped. The I love Magic. I've been playing it forever, since the cards I had no symbols on them. That's how long ago I started playing. Um, of course, I've never done it really professionally or anything like that. I haven't even been in a tournament, that type of thing. But uh, I love the game, and I've been playing it with my family and my friends forever. I have close to 10,000 cards. Um, you may have seen the new Strixhaven when it came out. There was stimulus time and bonus time at work, so all the planets aligned, and I was able, for the first time, maybe only time, to get a box set, pre-release type thing. So we did that, and it's on the stream. Check it out on the U's and the Tubes. And give me just a second here. I have somebody who wanted to check this out, and I can't think and talk at the same time because I'm old and I'm not that skilled. There we go. Boom. All right. So what I'm trying to say is that in all the years of Magic, I've never been as excited as I am for this set. This is about Dungeons and Dragons, and not just that. And when I first heard about it, I was like, okay, they're going to do Forgotten Realms in Magic, and it's they're going to have some cool cards, and we'll move on. Then I learned about all the stuff that they're going to be doing, and holy shnikes, be prepared. You may want to wear a hat because your mind is going to be blown when you hear a couple of the things that they're going to be doing in this. It is going to be epic. So, real quick though, those of you who are not familiar with Magic the Gathering Arena, which is where I am at right now, it's free. You do not have to pay. Um, you may end up getting sucked in and buying, like a new card sleeve, or some maybe paying to get into a tournament if you wanted to. But you don't have to. You can play for free. You can get good amount of cards for free just by playing regularly. And you can quickly add to your collection. Plus, every time they come out with a new set, like they did today, they have codes where you get 3 free packs. So you can go back all the way. There's a couple websites that have all the codes from all the different things, and you can come in with. I think when I did it, I had my son told me about this, and I had something like 27 packs that were free. Um, the whole point is just to help you build up your library, and you start with a bunch of packs, a bunch of decks to start that are free. So check it out. And I've said, if you've watched any of these, this is my 41st session of this. So if you've watched any of them, you've seen a lot of times I will say, go to the store first. Go to the store first. And today is one of the reasons why. If you go to the store, you'll see you can go to the deals, the daily deals, check those every day. You can get 400 gems for 300 gems. So you're getting 100 free gems. Or in my case, I hoard my gems and never spend them because I win them like 50 at a time. So I'm going to spend my coins and get 400 free gems. So it's awesome. Check it out. Now on to the story. Why are we here? We're going to learn about the D&D games. I need to send out one last thing because I forgot to tell one other person that I am streaming. Boom, boom, done. Let's learn, shall we? So, I'll switch the scene to the interwebs. So this is from the Magic the Gathering website. So the first thing that I'm really excited about is a new type of card called Dungeons. Venturing into dungeons is a classic part of many D&D campaigns, and Adventures in Forgotten Realms is bringing that to Magic as well. This set includes Dungeons as a new card type to Magic. These cards don't go into your deck or sideboard. Instead, they start out the game and come into play when a card tells you to venture into the dungeon. So it's similar to a lesson for those who are familiar with it. So that's what it looks like. That's what they look like. You've got the entrance and then several different rooms as you go along and work your way through the dungeon. You have different choices as you're working your way through the dungeon. And there's and this is the it says whenever you go to dungeon attack, venture into the dungeon. So that's the mechanic that gets you into that dungeon. So let's learn more, shall we? There are 3 dungeons in the set, and you'll be able to see each of them. Oh, sorry guys, didn't mean to make you sick there. There are 3 dungeons in the set, and you'll be able to see each of them alongside any card that references dungeons, if you're using Magic the Gathering Arena, of course. On desktop platforms, you can hover over a card, and on mobile, blah, blah, blah. All right, so if you're not in a dungeon already, whenever you venture into the dungeon, you will choose one of the 3 dungeons in the set to enter. So there, you can see you've got the 3 different dungeons. Dungeons of the Mad Mage, epic, huge dungeon, probably one of the biggest dungeons, pre-made dungeons out there. Lost Mine of Phandelver, which is the first beginner set dungeon, excellent. And then Tomb of Annihilation, just probably the oldest of the 3. Well, definitely the oldest of the 3. Classic Tomb of Annihilation, lots of fun. Those are the 3 you get to choose from. And of course, Dungeons of the Mad Mage has the most number of rooms, which makes sense, as the Dungeon of the Mad Mage has the most rooms. So you'll start in the entrance, the first room at the top, activating a triggered ability in that room. In this case, it says Cave Entrance, Scry 1. And by the way, this is over here because this is what got you in there in the first place. It says when Displacer Beast enters the battlefield, venture into the dungeon. So that's why that's there. So it says as you continue to venture deeper into the dungeon, you will often be offered a choice of which room and triggered effect you want to choose next. So in this case, after you scry, you can then go into the Goblin Lair, create a 1/1 Goblin token, or you can mine tunnels and create a treasure token. That's the second room. You get one of those 2 options. Until finally you reach the end of the dungeon, completing it. If you venture again, you can choose to go back to that same dungeon, which is different than the lessons, or select one of the others. If you want to learn more about dungeons delving, then there's a dedicated article for that. Many cards in the set offer different ways to venture into dungeons or get bonuses for having completed dungeons, giving players multiple strategic approaches. When Displacer Beast enters the battlefield, venture into the dungeon. This one is whenever he enters the battlefield or attacks, you can venture into the dungeon. And this one says whenever he enters the battlefield, venture into the dungeon. And as long as you've completed a dungeon, he gets +3 and has flying. Of course, dungeons are known for the mighty foes they contain, and among the most fearsome there are dragons. Dun dun dun. Take a quick quote break. Today's quote: "My cleric only wears white because he spares the dying." You'll get it in a minute. All right, so dragons are another key piece in any D&D adventure, and also a classic part of Magic the Gathering. Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, which is the set that came out today, offers a host of dragons, from legendary foes like Ebon Death to classics like Red Dragon and Queen of Dragons, Tiamat. So, take a quick look at these guys. I don't want to go a whole lot into cards right now. We'll do that more later. But here's for 4 is a Draco Lich, Ebon Death. He enters tapped. He has flash and flying. You can cast it from his graveyard. If he dies that turn, you can cast it again from his graveyard. Red Dragon has Fire Breath. When Red Dragon enters the battlefield, it deals 4 damage to each opponent. There you go. It's a good commander card, and it's only uncommon. And then Tiamat, mythic rare, no, one of each, obviously. 5-headed, one of each color dragon. +2. Flying. When Tiamat enters the battlefield, if you cast it, search your library for up to 5 dragons not named Tiamat that each have different names, reveal them, and put them in your hand, then shuffle. So again, great commander, or good to be used in a commander deck, or just make all your creatures dragons and make them different names. Not to be outdone, the pre-order and Mastery Pass also offer rare chromatic dragon pets. Okay, so that's for Magic Arena. Alright, so the last thing I want to talk about, and then we'll get to the actual cards themselves, is dice. So those of you who've played Magic the Gathering, I use dice. I have a lot of dice anyway because I play with Dungeons and Dragons. So we use them for counters, +1/+1 counters for your keeping track of your planeswalkers, things like that. But there are only a handful of cards in existence that have had you actually roll the dice. And there are a couple that have had you flip coins too. But now there's going to be a bunch dedicated to rolling 20-sided dice. Now, why 20-siders? Because it's D&D, but also makes it convenient because most of your life counters in IRL, in real life, are the large 20-sided dice. So you can just use those, have an extra one of those. Anyway, let's get into it, shall we? While Dungeons & Dragons are certainly iconic and familiar for D&D players, few things are more beloved and feared than the dice. For the first time in Black Border, Adventures in Forgotten Realms brings rolling a d20 to Magic. Now, real quick, a quick aside. You may be asking, Sven, what does it mean by Black Border? Well, there are a set of they're like humorous, almost comical set of Magic cards that came out, and they've come out 3 times now, I believe. I might be wrong on that, but it's at least twice, if not 3 times. And they're humorous, and they have things like they have a whole Ass series. They have Half-Ass and City of Ass and Jackass cards, and there's all different types of cards, and so those had a situation where you could roll dice, and here's one of them, for example, the Sword of Dungeons and Dragons. You roll a d20. So that was from that silver bordered set. It's a lot of fun to play. I have a lot of them. They're just not standard. You can't play them in any tournament. Anyway, so that's what it means by Black Border. Boom. What does the dice do? A halfling rogue is the creature. He has sneak attack. Whenever Lightfoot Rogue attacks, you roll a d20. On a 1 to 9, on the d20, he gains Death Touch. On a 10 to 19, it gets a +1 and Death Touch. And if you roll a 20, it gets a +3 to his attack, First Strike, and Death Touch. And all of these are until the end of the turn. So that's awesome. So now this is a Morning Star. Okay, this is the first time I've ever seen them make a mistake. This is very frustrating to me. That is not a Morning Star, that is a mace. Morning Star is on a chain. It's the same exact thing, except for that spiky ball is on the end of a chain. And then if you have 2 or 3, then it's a flail. But for one spiked ball on a chain is a Morning Star. That is a mace. Anyway, I'm done. We're moving on. Goblin Morning Star, equipped creature, gets a +1 and has trample. So, When he enters the battlefield, you roll a d20. On a 1 to 9, you create a goblin token. So that's nice. So you can not even have a goblin and throw down this equipment and make a goblin token. And then on a 10 to 20, you create a goblin token and then attach it, the Morningstar, to it. So you're guaranteed to get a goblin token when you play this equipment, and you might even be able to equip it for free. So that's pretty cool. And of course, the iconic deck of many things. Roll the d20 and subtract the number of cards in your hand. If the result is 0 or less, you discard your hand, so you definitely want high on this one. On a 1 to 9, you return a card at random from your graveyard to your hand. On a 10 to 19, you draw 2 cards, and on a 20, you put a creature card from any graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. And when that creature dies, its owner loses the game. Wowzers. That is pretty cool. All right, deck of many things. Very nice. So what else does it have to say about the dice? There are several cards in the set that will have a variable effect based on how well you roll a 20-sided die. Each has a table to describe what result the roll will get you, often with a nice bonus for managing to roll that natural 20. Of course, Magic the Gathering Arena will handle the die rolling and tables for you, so you just get to enjoy the results, but you can read up on the details. There's more breaking it down. This is what it's going to look like in Magic the Gathering Arena. All right, and so the last couple things that are just more flavor. It says, playing D&D is all about storytelling, and Adventures in Forgotten Realms brings a few new tweaks to help the cards tell stories as well. For example, the basic lands have flavor text with seeds of adventures or callouts to familiar places in the world. See if I can zoom in a little bit. There we go. So it says, basic land players seeking to learn why the ancestors have fallen silent. You've made your way to their ancient cairns. The island says, as your ship clears the edge of the Waterdeep harbor, you notice pirate sails on the horizon. What has made them so bold? The swamp. As you trudge through the sewers of Baldur's Gate, it dawns on you. Where are all the rats? The mountain. As you make camp near ancient ruin, you hear the sound of drums echoing in halls where no dwarf has lived in generations. And of course, the forest. As you venture deeper under the boughs of Neverwinter Wood, arrows in the tree trunk suggest you might not be welcome. Put it back down to normal. To make sure you can enjoy this on Magic the Gathering Arena, we tweaked the presentation of a flavor text. So now some of them will have flavor text. Several cards also get flavorful words attached to their abilities or options. They don't have mechanical impact, but they call back to well-known traits or abilities to help a card tell its story. So there's a gelatinous cube, 50 foot of rope. You hear something on watch. Very cool. Very nice. Hey, Atomic. Welcome. Going over the new Dungeons & Dragons card set that's coming out today for Magic the Gathering Arena. So, the world of Faerun also has a rich history, with many characters that fans have followed through stories, campaigns, or other games. Adventures in Forgotten Realms bring dozens of familiar faces to Magic. So, Baldur's Gate is a computer game that came out in the 80s, and I loved it and have put it's one of the top 3 in the sheer number of hours of game I've played in a game. Seeing as how I've only completed one video game in my entire life, Mass Effect, for those of you wondering, that's saying something. Baldur's Gate, I've put in hundreds of hours, the original, and I still have it in Steam because they came out with a new version that you can play on the newer birds. check this out. Xanathar, who's probably the most famous Xanathar's Guide to Everything book, was all about the beholder Xanathar. He is a mob boss in my mind's from blank. He's a mob boss in the city. I want to say Neverwinter. Might be Baldur's Gate. My mind's from blank. I just lost it. But anyway, he's a mob boss, beholder, and right there is his famous goldfish pet that he has. He cares for more than anything in the world. You can steal all his riches. He wouldn't care as much as if you steal his goldfish. And Drizzt Do'Urden, if any of you have read any of the Dragonlance series, I mean not Dragonlance, Forgotten Realms series, you know about the Ranger Drizzt Do'Urden, Dark Elf, and then Minsc. So why did I bring up Baldur's Gate? Because Minsc is in Baldur's Gate. He's one of the he's a ranger that you pick up, and he's has a the characters will the NPCs that you pick up that join your party will randomly speak sometimes, and he has some of the greatest lines. One of which is "butt kicking for goodness," but he has a hamster. So when you pick him up and you start him, he's got like a sword, armor, and his only thing in his inventory is a hamster. And you click on it. If you ever try to touch it and pick it and move it from his inventory, it does a little hamster squeak, squeak, squeak. It is the coolest thing ever. And he says it is Boo, his space hamster. Okay. So check this out. The card says you can pay X, and then until the end of the turn, the target creature you control has base power and toughness of X and becomes a giant in addition to its other types. So he can turn his hamster into a giant hamster. It is awesome. Because when he enters the battlefield, you create Boo, a legendary 1/1 red hamster token. Awesome. Great shout out for there's probably only a couple thousand people in the world who will get this reference, but it is awesome and I love it. The other thing is even the cards styles will feel different to D&D fans, with creature styles evoking monster manual illustrations or land styles that call back to original adventure modules. So like this one is the Hall of Storm Giants, an adventure for 17 to 20 back in the day, probably late 70s, maybe the most early 80s. And it says it's a land. If you control 2 or more other lands, then it enters the battlefield tapped. Otherwise, you just add a blue. And then if you pay 6, you can turn it into a 7/7 blue creature giant. Blue giant creature, I mean. And then you have like the old school owl bear from the first monster manual. So lots of cool stuff. And then the rest of it's just about Magic the Gathering stuff. So vintage, absolutely. Good stuff. So let's get into it, shall we? Now that we get a taste of what these cards are going to do, let's get into it, shall we? Let's take a look at some of these cards. All right. Here's a D20, where you roll the D20, and based on what you roll, what happens? It's always a 4/3, so that's not bad. Power Word Kill. It's a great, really powerful spell. And surprised it only costs 2, but you destroy anything that's not an angel or a demon or devil or dragon. Nice. Okay. And then you have Dragon's Fire. You may reveal a dragon card from your hand. Dragon Fire deals 3 damage to... Okay, as an additional cost to this spell, you may reveal a dragon card from your hand or choose a dragon you control. Dragon Fire deals 3 damage to target creature, and if you reveal the dragon card or choose a dragon it deals damage equal to the power of that card instead. Okay, so cool. If you have a more powerful dragon in your hand, you can do more than 3. Very nice, very nice. Bull's Strength is a cleric spell, which boosts your strength, obviously. +2 until the end of turn. Nice. Brazen Dwarf. Ooh, whenever you roll a dice, he deals a damage to opponent. That's cool. Nice. They're incorporating the 20-sided aspect of it, too. Basilisk, of course. A Silver Raven. It looks like a clockwork bird. Okay. And our rare is Hive of the Eye Tyrant. So that's a beholder lair, is what that is. If you control 2 or more other lands, it enters tapped. And then it becomes a 3/3 beholder. Nice. All right, Divine Smite. So paladins are known in D&D for their smites. A lot of the times. So what they can do is you can cast a certain number of spells each day. Or a paladin, whenever he hits, if he chooses, he can use up one of his spells to do smite damage. Divine Smite is also a spell, so it's toss-up. This is one of the few spells a paladin will actually cast. Makes him go away for a turn. Inspiring Bard. Very nice. So Bardic Inspiration is a thing in D&D. And there you go. The target creature gets +2/+2 or Song of Rest. Another thing, whenever you take a short rest in D&D, they can do a Song of Rest and you get a little bit extra life back. Very cool. I like it. The Paladin's Shield. That's the symbol of Helm. That gauntlet with the eye on it. Plundering Barbarian is a dwarf barbarian. Okay. Smash the chest or pry it open. So you can either destroy an artifact or create a token. I like it. I'm loving these. How these are written. Dwarf Hold Champion. Okay. Another dwarf. Another basilisk. The bard is an elf also. Root elf tribal decks. Oh yes, he is an elf. Yep, an elven bard. All right, so let's check out the minion of the mighty. It's a kobold. Pack tactics. Pack tactics. You gain an advantage whenever you're adjacent to somebody. In D&D, kobolds are known for their pack tactics. So if you've attacked with creatures with a total of 6 power or greater this combat, you put a dragon creature from your hand onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking. Wow. So by himself, he's useless. He's a 0/1. But that is a pretty cool effect. That's why he's gold. That's why he's a rare card. And by the way, FS Schmo. Welcome, welcome. Has the Forgotten Realms set come out in physical form yet? I do not know. That was as the credits were rolling and as I was starting the thing, I was like, you know what? I should have probably checked to see, because somebody's probably going to ask me that question. I honestly couldn't tell you. I know Honey Badger Sven might know, so we'll see if he knows when it comes out, because he ordered some. I know Honey Badger Sven ordered some real cards. But welcome, guys. FSH Schmo and Honey Badger, welcome, welcome. Glad you stopped by. Thieves' Tools. Oh, one of the iconic D&D things. Thieves' Tools. You gotta have them. You create a treasure token. Okay, can't be blocked as long as its power is lower. Nice. Plummet is old school. Eyes of the Beholder. -11 until the end of the turn. Okay, very cool. For 6. A Secret Door. Again, another iconic thing. Boy, this is so cool. venture into a dungeon if you pay 5. And here you go, shows you the dungeon cards next to them. If you missed the beginning, I went over the details of the dungeons and the 20 cards and stuff. As soon as this is over, go back to Twitch, or I'm going to post it right up on YouTube right away. You can check out and see the beginning of it. Excuse me. Drider. A Drider is a half, so like a centaur is half human, half horse. A Drider is a half elf, half spider. So here's another elf for you, Mike, Honey Badger. There you go, there's your elf. I need a drink. Whenever Drider deals combat, create a spider token. By the way, I don't know if you noticed, it took me a minute. That spider's eating a horse. Okay, now let's see what else we get. A Minion of the Mighty, another one. Okay, boom. Reaper's Talisman. It's an artifact. Gives you Death Touch. Power Word Kill. Again, very nice. Steadfast Paladin. Got Lifelink, very nice. Looks like a Dwarven Paladin in the picture against an Ogre, I'm guessing. Very cool. The Bard. A Human Rogue, Shortcut Seeker. Whenever Shortcut Seeker deals combat to a player, venture into a dungeon. Very nice. There you go. Boom. There's your dungeon. That spider is too big, Atomic says. Oh yes, that is a very big spider. Deadly Dispute. Got a little rogue looting a corpse. Sacrifice a creature and then draw 2 cards and create a token. That's pretty cool for 2. Not bad. Especially if you combine it with a Strixhaven where you have 7,000 tokens. An Human Elf Ranger. Ah, it's a half elf. There you go, Honey Badger. He's still an elf, and he's a half elf. Very cool. That's exciting. And there's a Manticore in the picture. Very nice. Reach, and you create a wolf because he has a wolf companion. Very nice. As a beast companion. The Ochre Jelly. Nicely drawn. So the Ochre Jelly is exactly what it looks like. It's just a large pile of animated snot, basically. A big pile of mucus that comes and attacks you, and you're like, oh, I thought that was just a puddle, but it's snot. Ochre Jelly has trample, enters with a bunch of counters on it, and it splits when it dies. If it had 2 or more, you create a token of it, and with half, so it splits in half. So that is exactly what happens when you fight an Ochre Jelly. If you don't use a bludgeoning weapon, a blunt weapon, you use a sword or something, and you do too much damage, it will split, and you'll now have 2 of these creatures fighting you. Very nicely done. Very cool. I like it. Arcane Investigator. Again, a D20 person. He's an elf, another elf. Lots of elves in this, Honey Badger. You'll be able to change up your elven deck. Draw a card, and then stuff. Split the fun among your family and friends. Exactly. Everybody gets an Ochre Jelly. You get an Ochre Jelly. You get an Ochre Jelly. Soul Knife Spy, another elven rogue. Another elf. You draw a card. So lots of rogues in this too. So there are already lots of rogue decks out there. So the people who have those will be happy. Grim Bounty. Destroy a creature and then create a token. Nice. I like that. That's a cool idea. You're turning in the carcass of the dragon. That's very cool. Devoted Paladin. Ooh, he's an Orc Knight. Okay. When he enters the battlefield, we get +1. Nice. Okay. A Horde Robber. A Tiefling Rogue. Okay, so this is the first time we've seen Tieflings in Magic the Gathering. We got the Sleeping Dragon there. Very cool. Barbarian Class. Okay, okay. So this is a new card, a class. All right, so our little cheat sheet didn't say anything about classes. So FS Schmo, if you're still there, Honey Badger Sven says he doesn't believe it comes out until the 23rd of this month in IRL, in real life. All right, so the Barbarian Class, that's cool. Gain the next level as a sorcery to add its ability. So normally, if you would roll one or more dice, instead roll that many dice plus one and ignore the lowest roll. So it's about 2 weeks, correct? Dadgummit, I'm sorry, Honey Badger. He tried to post a link saying that, and my stupid Nightbot has it set up to where if anybody posts a link, normally it's just fine because you get these spammers that come in and say, hey, if you want to enlarge the size of your organ or if you need followers, follow this link, and so it blocks them. But it automatically does any link now, so I'm sorry. Did not mean to do that to you. It's automatic. Wizards.com says 723. Okay, cool. All right, so the Barbarian Class. So you roll the dice. That's nice. That's awesome. And then if you pay 2 as a sorcery, you can level it up, and then you get a creature gets +2 and menace, and then creatures you control have haste if you cast it as level 3. So this is an enchantment. It just sits there, and then so you could do it costs for 1 to cast it, and then you could pay another 2 and another 3. So if you have 6, you could cast it as a level 3 class. That is awesome because I'm really excited because I'm guessing there's going to be one for each class, not just the barbarians. Very cool. Very cool. All right, so Westgate Regent, he's a vampire. Okay, a first vampire we've seen from the set. Ooh, his ward is discard a card. So cool. So if anybody casts something on him, then they have to discard a card as well. So we have our Jaded Sellsword. He's a Dragonborn. So he's a Dragon Warrior. Very cool. So it just says Dragon Warrior. So we've already seen several cards that talk about if you have a dragon in your hand or a dragon does this. So this also would count with him. It's a Dragonborn too. Interesting. Very cool. Very cool. And this is also a very unique ability. If you use a treasure to help cast him, then he gets a bonus. So that's pretty cool. I like that. Here's our first dragon that I have, a white dragon. He has cold breath. When he enters the battlefield, you tap a creature or target controls, and it doesn't untap. Very cool. We have our Evolving Wild, a new version of Evolving Wilds. Okay. Cool. Herald of Hadar. So Hadar, there are lots of spells that Hadar came up with. He's one of the ones that have several of them. Usually the arms of Hadar is usually the ones that these black tendrils come up and attack people. So Circle of Death. So he's a 4/4, and then you pay 6 to roll a d20 to have every opponent lose a life, or if you get 10 to 19, everybody loses a life, and I gain 2 life. If I happen to roll that sweet natural 20, each opponent loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life, and you make 2 treasures. Very cool. Ambushed on the road, an instant. You can either return a target creature to on his hand, make a retreat, or you can stand and fight. Cool. I like these a lot. Very nice. I like that a lot. Meet in a tavern. Nice art. Very nice art. You got the halfling sitting on the table. Very cool. It's probably a gnome actually because he's got pointed ears. Halflings don't have pointed ears. So again, it's a sorcery. You choose one. You can either form a party or you can start a brawl. Very nice. Very cool. All right, so let's see what our rare is. The Circle of Dreams, Druid. All right, so Indian Dungeons and Dragons, your druids start off, and then at level 3, they get to pick a circle. Circle of Land or um, Circle of Dreams, and there's Circle of the Moon. All these different circles that they pick as they hit level 3, and this is what they specialize in. So you get to, he costs 3. I don't know, he's expensive. One for each creature you control. Okay, cool. You tap and he add one for each creature. Very cool. Not bad, not bad. I'm not sure why he's messing with the tree if he's focused on creatures, but it works. Yeah, that tap is nice. That tap is awesome, Honey Badger Sven says. It is. All right, choose your weapon. Again, really cool. So different, they had to make this short because as paladins, fighters, rangers, maybe barbarians, get to pick their fighting style. And weapon style basically, and this is one. 2-weapon fighting or archery are some of the choices. There's also protection and other ones, but so this is cool. If you do 2-weapon fighting, you double the creature's power and toughness until the end of the turn, or if you do archery, it deals 5 damage to the target creature with flying. Just bam, just kills them. Very cool. Fly is a 3rd level spell. Wizards love it in D&D. And not only does it give you flying, as you would expect, but you also get to venture into the dungeon. Very cool. +2 mace. Nice. I like that a lot. It's a +2 mace. Very cool. And then we have our scaled herbalist. So he is a lizard folk. So there's a difference between dragonborn and lizard folk. So he's a lizard druid. I think this is the first lizard from Magic. I don't remember there being lizards in Magic the Gathering, but I could be wrong. If there are, they're probably red. But anytime you tap him, you can put a land down. That's cool. New ability I haven't seen before. Half-elf monk. There you go. Human elf. There's your monk again. She's kicking butt with against a gnoll. Stunning Strike is one of the classic. Every monk gets it, and it knocks the opponent out for a whole round, so it's extremely powerful. Very nice. All right, and the rare is the Bard class. Nice, another class. So, legendary creatures enter with a +1/+1 on them. That makes so much sense. Bard class. Legendary creatures give him a boost because he's a bard. He's telling them about their legendary actions. It's very cool. Legendary spells, if you boost it up, or cost less. This actually reduces the amount of colored mana. All right, very nice. So it's 1 red and 1 green less. That's a new mechanic I haven't seen before either. And then the last one is when you cast a legendary spell, exile top 2 cards, and then you can play them this turn. Okay. Yeah, not so thrilled about the 3rd level, but wow. Well done, well written. Very nice. I like it. I like that a lot. So we have a Tiefling Cleric, Necromancer, obviously, a Death Priest of Murkle. Murkle is the god of the dead. Yep. Skeletons, vampires, and zombies you control get +1. And you can create a skeleton token. Very nice. A blue dragon. Here we go. So we've got a white and blue so far. Lightning Breath, of course. Target creature gets a -/-. Nice. Okay, okay. I like the art with the little dude flying off the cliff. Excellent. I like it a lot. A little expensive, but that's all right. Yuan-ti. Wow, a snake rogue. So Yuan-ti are humanoid snake mixes, and they can vary. Some of them are almost all snake with just a couple human arms on them, and a little bit like a nose. Others are almost all human with just barely discernible scales and slitted irises, um, and everything in between. That's what Yuan-Ti are. So Death Touch, of course, and you can venture into a dungeon. Very nice, very nice. A Gnoll Hunter. Whenever a Gnoll Hunter attacks, pack tactics again. So it looks like pack tactics means whenever you attack with creatures with a total power of 6 or greater, and then something happens. So that's what pack tactics seems to be, because that was the same thing in our other card that has pack tactics. And gnolls are hyena human half-breeds or humanoid. Minimus Containment. Very cool. You enchant a permanent that's not a land. It's a treasure artifact with tap it and add it. And it loses all of its other abilities and is no longer a creature if it was. Interesting, and it costs 3. Alright, so more than likely you're going to be doing this to your own creatures, your own stuff. You could do it to an enchantment. You can do it to anything. Interesting. It'll be cool to see how that works out. Alright, Clattering Skeletons. Uh-oh, here we go. Fighting skeletons again. When it dies, you venture into the dungeon. Nice. Very cool. So, Mythic Rare. Loving it. Thank you. So, looks like there are quite a few cards that have venture into dungeons. That's nice. Pegasus. Circle the Moon. There you go. Circle the Moon was probably the most played druid, just because it was one of the first 2 that came out in the original Player's Handbook for 5e. And the other one was Circle of the Land, and you're basically a spellcaster. And nobody plays a druid to cast spells. If you want to cast spells, you play a wizard. Circle of the Moon druid can change shape. So that's why everybody played Circle of the Moon. So you could change shape and do it well. So here's a half elf. Again, human elf. There you go. So Honey Badger's going to be really happy with all these elves. Bear form, as long as it's your turn, he's a bear. Well, that's cool. Boom, it's just a bear on your turn. And flips his power and toughness. Very nice. Leather armor. Ha 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 ha. Like it. I like it. I like it. Equipped creature has ward of 1. Oh, nice. So it gives, they have to pay 1 extra whenever you attack it. And you can equip it for 0 though, because it's a piece of crap leather armor. Nice. Potion of healing. Ha ha ha. Of course, you can't play D&D without a potion of healing. 50 gold. When a potion of healing, you draw a card, and you gain 3 life if you pay 1 and tap it. Oh, it's 1 and tap, so you can keep using it over and over, and it only costs 2. Wow, that is OP. I would put this as a superior or greater healing, but that's okay. Very nice. So tap and pay 1 every time to gain 3 life. We have our green dragon now. Excellent. So we've got 3 of our dragons so far. And if you're wondering how many dragons there are, it's way too many to count in D&D. However many they brought over, I'm guessing they brought in all the chromatics and all the colored. So what that means, just a fancy word for, chromatic and metallic. That's just fancy words for all the colors and all the metals. So there's red, green, black. It's pretty much like Magic the Gathering. There's a red, green, black, blue, and white. And then there's the metallic are copper, brass, silver, gold, and platinum dragons. Poison Breath, of course. Whenever a creature an opponent controls is dealt damage, destroy it. Nice. So it gives them It's almost like Death Touch. Gives all your creatures Death Touch. Whenever a creature and opponent is dealt damage of any kind, so it doesn't have to be combat damage, you can ping it with a spell or something that does 1 damage. Very nice. I like that. Tiamat! Yes. All right. So we already looked at her earlier, but very cool. 5-headed dragon. She's known as the evil dragon queen. There's the Bahamut is the male good version who fights Tiamat. She's a dragon god, like it says, 7/7. If you missed the earlier one, when she enters the battlefield, if you cast it as opposed to having it enter the battlefield as another way, then you can search for your library for up to 5 dragon cards not named Tiamat that each have different names. Put them in your hand and shuffle. So it's very cool. 1 of each color, of course, to cast it. Shambling Ghast. So a ghast, sort of like a ghoul, but worse. When they touch you, they drain stuff from you, and they smell really bad. So when he dies, you brave the stench, or you can search the body. Nice. I like that aspect. Tiger Tribe Hunter. The Tiger Tribe is in, just as you can see in the picture, is from Icewind Dale, which is these frozen cities way up north. And the Tiger Tribe is one of them. Pack Tactics, yep. So it's power 6 or greater total. Okay, yep. When you do, deals damage to the sacrifice creature to target creature. Okay, nice. Rust Monster. Iconic. Terrifying monster to fight, because as the name implies, if it touches you, it turns everything, your armor and your weapons, turns it, rusts everything. First strike, sacrifice an artifact to eat it. Yep, it eats artifacts. Nice, I like it. Not very powerful, and they aren't really very powerful, but very cool. Our Pegasus again, our veteran dungeoneer. When he enters the battlefield, go into the dungeon. Nice. He's in the Yawning Portal. Very nice. So he's so the Yawning Portal is this dungeon. I mean, it's this bar tavern, and within it's built over this sort of like a large well, but it's this stone ring that descends down into the earth. I believe it's 200 feet. And then that's where the Dungeon of the Mad Mage opens up, the Yawning Portal. So, but the Yawning Portal bar tavern is above it, around it, and built around it, and that's where this card is drawn. Very cool, very cool. I like it. What else we got here? Let's see what our rare is. A Dragon Turtle. Again, another classic. Very nice. Dragon turtles are terrifying, a lot of which has to do with the fact that they're in the water. They're huge things. They breathe steam. That's what their breath is. So when a dragon turtle enters the battlefield, you tap it, and a creature an opponent controls. Neither one of them untap during their controller's untap steps, and it has flash. Very nice, because it can suddenly come up. Very cool. Boy, I am just giddy. I'm loving this. So well done. Mordenkainen's Polymorph. I don't know that Mordenkainen has a polymorph, but that's okay. He was a very powerful sorcerer, so why not? The creature becomes a dragon. Nice. Again, working together with those other dragon cards. So you find a cursed idol is a sorcery. Very nice. So you can either smash it, you can lift the curse, or steal its eyes. Very cool. Very cool. And it's a sort of a nod to the old, is that Player's Handbook? There was a giant idol on the front of it with this holding a brazier, and there was a rogue climbing up on, getting ready to pry out the eye, and that's sort of a nod to this art, is sort of a nod to that idol. Very cool. All right, so we have a zombie ogre. Yep, not as iconic, but still very cool. I've used many of them myself as a dungeon master. Venture into the dungeon again. Very nice. Iron Golem. Golems are huge in D&D. And there's lots of them, but the more iconic one is iron, earth, flesh, steel. So those are the main golems that you're gonna be running across. So he always attacks if he can. 4, 4, 5, 3. It's not too bad. Not too bad. A reclusive painter, Kalain. I'm not familiar with the name, but he's a human half-elf bard. There you go. Loving it. Again, it's another mechanic where if you spend treasure token cards, use treasures to cast creatures, they get a bonus. Let's see what our rare is. An Arcalich, of course. Very nice. Daughter's showing me a new energy drink she just got, Raise. It's one of the few that doesn't have any carbs or sugars or 0 calories, that type of thing. It's not bad. It's not bad. Very cool. All right, Acererak, the Arc Lizard Wizard. I believe, I don't know if anybody else is watching, FS Schmo might know. I believe Acererak is from the Tomb of Annihilation, which is why his dungeon will be shown there. But pretty sure he's from, oh, there it is. When Acererak enters the battlefield, if you haven't completed Tomb of Annihilation, return him to its owner's hand and venture into the dungeon. And then you make a zombie creature for each opponent, unless they sacrifice a creature. Very cool. Very cool. I like that. I like that. And there's the Tomb of Annihilation right there. All right, very cool. I'm liking how these cards, the synergy they have, the new mechanics are really cool. And of course, gotta have a dungeon map. So awesome. So awesome. Venture into the dungeon and activate it as a sorcery. Very cool. Very cool. A wandering troubadour, a dragonborn bard. Very cool. Very nice. Again, one of the new dragons. Venture into the dungeon when you put down a land. Very neat. The Intellect Devourer. Nice. So it's not a creature, it's a spell. So what these things do is they can teleport into your brain cavity. And then they control you. The person is then controlled. The target opponent, so for 1, target opponent discards a card. If mana from a treasure was spent to cast this, that player reveals their hand and you choose a land from it. A card from it. Okay. Okay. Interesting. For 1. Alright, so now we have an Earth Cult Elemental. Nice, the Earth Elemental. We were talking about elementals. So elementals have been in Magic the Gathering forever. They're also in Dungeons and Dragons. You have your major ones of the major elements. Earth, fire, air, and water elementals are your 4 major ones, and then of course there's tons of other elementals that have been made in the meantime. So again, you roll a d20 when he comes in, enters the battlefield. To 6/6 for 6. Okay. See what the rare is. Another Circle of Dreams Druid. Very nice. Alright, so we have our Fireball. Of course, you gotta have Fireball. You have to have Fireball. Deals 5 damage, and you roll a d20 to do extra damage. Very nice. A Sylvan Shepherd. So a Sylvan is a type of druid. It's actually, I'm sorry, type of elven language. So this is a human druid that happens to speak Sylvan. Nice. And whenever they attack, you gain life depending on how well you roll. Very nice. I like this for 3. And now we have our Dire Wolf. Classic Dire Wolves. Nice. Very cool. You give them a +2/+2. Very nice. You find some prisoners. It's an instant. You can either break their chains or interrogate them. Very new. I'm loving these cards. So neat, so neat. And of course, Magic Missile. 3 Magic Missiles flying out, casting it at level 1. It's one of the few cards, few spells, or a few things in Dungeons and Dragons period that never misses. Deals 3 damage divided as you choose among 1, 2, or 3 targets. Yep, that is correct. That's what they do. They do 1d4+1, but still. They don't do a lot of damage, but they never miss. And the spell can't be countered. Makes sense. I like it. It's expensive for 3 damage, but I like it. Can't be countered. Gelatinous Cube. Again, iconic. The only thing with this picture is the gelatinous cube is see-through. A lot of times you don't even know it's there, or it looks like water, depending on how the dungeon master has it set up. It's usually like in a pit, so you just see a pit filled with water. I had a halfling who dove into the water head first, and it was a gelatinous cube, so he was just diving into jello, and just his feet sticking out, and we had to try to get him out before they ate him with his acid. Or it fills the hallway, and all you see is this floating coins, and you're like, why are there coins floating in the hallway? And you walk into it because you can't see it. But let's see what this thing does. It engulfs. You exile a non-ooze creature until he leaves the battlefield, okay? And then he dissolves. You put a target creature card with mana X exiled with Gelatinous Cube into its owner's graveyard. Very nice. So you engulf it, and then if you can afford to, you can then dissolve it. Well done, my friends, because going into a Gelatinous Cube is terrible. Doesn't necessarily mean instant death. So if your friends are around, they can pull you out. So I like that. Well done, Wizards of the Coast. Fate's Reversal. Return a creature card from a graveyard and venture into the dungeon. Dun dun dun. Very nice. I like it. Spoils of the Hunt. Again, you get a bonus if you use treasure cards. So this is really cool. I like that they're incorporating. So on the one side, it's good that they're incorporating treasure into this a lot more. On the other side, though, there's not a lot of cards I've seen so far that give you treasure tokens. So Clever Conjurer, there you go. This is iconic blue glowing Mage Hand. And that's what he's casting. Mage Hand, untap a permanent. Untap it. Okay. Very nice. Very nice. He's a gnome wizard. Love it. Love it. I don't know if there are gnomes in Magic yet, so this might be the first gnomes. A Sepulchre Ghoul. Yep, ghoul with the long tongue. I don't know why they went that route in 5e, but that's how ghouls have been portrayed lately, with a long, weird tongue. Very cool. It's not a zombie, it's a ghoul, but that's okay. Blink Dog. Love the Blink Dogs. They can teleport around all over the place. He phases out for 4, and he has double strike. Nice. Okay. For 3, he's a 1/1 with double strike, and he can teleport, phase out. So everything, him and that's attached to it, I could see using that. Throw some equipment on him. Very nice. Okay. So now our rare is a Beholder Lair again. Very cool. Very cool. Liking the Beholder Lair. You come to the Null Camp. Excellent. So we can either intimidate them or we can fend them off. Very nice. I'm loving these choices. Boots of Speed, another iconic D&D. They also should have Boots of Flying, I'm sure. But Boots of Speed are already in Dungeons & Dragons, so I mean in Magic the Gathering, so not a big deal. A Spare Dagger. You may sacrifice it and deal 1 damage to any target. Very nice. The Scion of Stygia. It's a Tiefling Shaman. Very cool. A Cone of Cold. Nice. When he enters the battlefield, you blast it and tap a creature, and he's a regular 2/1. Cost 3 though, so I'm not sure about that. But a Rally Maneuver, instant, +2 in first strike, +2 in lifelink. Nice, I like that concept for 3. Tasha's Hideous Laughter. Oh yeah, a bardic standby. That and Vicious Mockery are the 2 spells that every bard uses ad nauseum, over and over and over. So each opponent exiles from the top of their library. Wow, each opponent exiles cards from the top of their library until that player has exiled cards with total mana value 20 or more. Wow. And you're exiling it. You're not milling. You're exiling. That's amazing for 3. 2 blue and a colorless. Very cool. Very cool. All right, the Ingenious Smith, a Human Artificer. Again, it's a nice class, a new class. We've got our Genie Windseer and a Delver's Torch. Of course, you gotta have the torch. He ventures into the dungeon. Excellent. Excellent, excellent. And let's see what our rare is. Our vampire again. Very nice. All right, so we're going to pick up the pace a little bit. We've been going for just over an hour. So let's start picking up the pace. A spiked pit trap, of course. Choose a creature and then roll a d20. It does damage to him. And or you can make a token. Only costs 1 to put it down, but then and it costs, and it's a flash. Nice, I like it. Of course it's a flash because it's a trap. I love it. Price of Loyalty is a sorcery. Gain control of the creature. Okay. Again, if you spend treasure, you get a bonus. Displacer Beast, one of the most iconic. Well drawn as well. Very cool. I think they have 2. I thought they had 2 more. 4. I thought they had 4 tentacles. Maybe they only have 2. All right. Very nice. Enter the dungeon. Very cool. Very cool. And our first multicolored. Not a lot of multicolored in this set. A Dwarven Cleric. Very nice. Borrowin of Clan Undur. Venture into the dungeon. When he attacks, if you've completed a dungeon, you can bring creatures back. The Den of the Bugbear. To land 2 or more lands, he comes in tapped. So I like this in that it's unique. Usually if you have, they come in tapped unless you control a lot of lands. These are the opposite. If you don't have a lot of lands, they come in untapped. It's very cool. And you can make it become a goblin creature. Very nice. I like that. Very cool. I'll switch that out into my red deck right as soon as we're done. You see a guard approach. You can either distract the guard or you can hide. Love it, love it, love it. Sudden Insight. Draw a card for each different mana among the non-lands in your graveyard. Okay. For 6? I don't know. I mean, the most you can draw on is 5 at the most. But, oh, for each mana value. Okay, never mind. I thought I saw color. Interesting. Okay, okay. Bag of Holding. Well drawn. It is the Bag of Holding. And she's just pouring crap out of it. Nicely done. Draw a card and discard a card. Sacrifice the Bag of Holding and return all cards exiled with Bag of Holding to their owner's hand. Whenever you discard a card, exile that card from your graveyard. Nice. That's pretty cool. It keeps stuff out of your graveyard so other people can't screw with your graveyard. Interesting. Minsc! Yeah, Minsc with Boo. I talked about him earlier. Go back to the beginning and you can see. I'm so excited I got Minsc. Butt kicking for goodness. Very nice. So as you can see, you create a hamster when you come in, and he can make it giant because it's a space hamster. You gotta play the first Baldur's Gate to learn this stuff. So he can make it a giant and give him a ++. Very cool with trample and haste. I love it. Another class, a cleric. I like that as a huge holy symbol though, but he's turning the undead. Very nice. So if you gain life, gain 1 more. Instead, I already like it. If you pay 4, you put a +1/+1 counter. If you pay 5, return a creature from a graveyard and gain life. Wow. Very good. Does both. So here's an elf shaman. It's a sorcerer. He can do psionic spells. Very cool. Mind sorcerer. Choose a sorcery card in your graveyard and then roll. The Hexblade. I will hex you, my little pretty. Hexblade is a warlock. And there you go. Elf warlock. There you go. For honey badgers, there's his elf. Again, you can use a treasure and get a bonus. Here's our Manticore. Talked about the Manticore beginning of the stream. It was in the Ranger picture. He has tail spikes. Nice. Story card. Ooh, nice. And he has a flash. Okay, cool. So basically, you flash him in to kill something. You do some damage to a big creature, and your opponent is mocking you because you sacrificed your creature, and then you kill it. Very nice. Goblin Javelineer. Goblins are iconic to both Magic and D&D. Here's a ranger, a longbow. Nice. Nice picture too. Nice art. I like it. I like it a lot. Reach +2/+1. Very nice. Unexpected Windfall. Ooh, that's a deck of many things. As an additional cost to this cast, you discard a card. Okay. Discard, draw 2 cards, and create 2 tokens. Very nice. Very cool. So there you go. It's the second card. Oh, here's the third one. Oh, that's the same one before. See what I mean? The Book of Vile Darkness. It's not as big as in 5e, but it's definitely old school D&D. Oh, there's the Hand of Vecna. Okay, so it says exile the Book of Vile Darkness, an artifact you control named Eye of Vecna and Hand of Vecna to create Vecna. Okay, so the point is to get all three. So obviously they have the Hand of Vecna and the Eye of Vecna. Not surprised because those are very, very iconic artifacts from D&D. Beholder, nice. Again, you get to choose one. You can either do an anti-magic cone or a fear ray. You have improvised weaponry. Nice, so you can use an improvised weapon in D&D. So you can just pick up a chair or a mug, or in her case, it's some sort of pole, the stick that was sitting there. She's smacking a mind flayer. Little halfling going for it. Nice. It does 2 to a target and makes treasure token. So good. I mentioned earlier I hadn't seen a lot of ways to make treasure tokens. I've seen more of them. Alright, so a sentry gains hexproof. Each opponent can't venture into the dungeon more than once each turn. Interesting. Very cool. Keen-eared sentry, I mean. Alright, got a tiefling crawling along. Nice art. Oswald Fiddlebender. He's a gnome artificer. Magical tinkering. Sacrifice an artifact, look for another artifact, and put it onto the battlefield. Alright, okay. I suppose if you have a lot of these one-use artifacts, it would be do well. A guild thief, of course, the Thieves Guild, obviously. Orc rogue. So they've had half-elves. I'm really surprised they haven't had half-orcs, because half-orcs are iconic race. Ooh, he has a cunning action, just like thieves rogues do. That is nice. Very cool. And then a frost giant, of course, a rhyme shield frost giant. Excellent. Well done art. Look at those polar bears walking, striding next to him as he walks along with his huge shield and axe. Very nicely done. Wow, and he has a ward of 3, so you have to pay 3 in order to do anything to him. And of course, a unicorn. Very nice. Good for lifelink decks. Xanathar. Awesome, awesome, awesome. At the beginning of your upkeep, you choose a target opponent. He can't cast spells. I can look at the top card of their library, and I can play the top card of their library. Wow. Ooh, that is going to be one of my new Brawl commanders right there. That is amazing. And he costs 6, but 4 of any color, so that's not bad. Not bad at all. Xanathar, I love it. An Air Cult Elemental, so we have the Air Cult Earth Elemental, the Earth Cult Elemental, now we have the Air Cult Elemental. See what our rare is? Volo, of course. Volo, Guide to Monsters. Whenever you cast a creature spell that doesn't share a creature type with a creature you control, or a creature card in your graveyard, copy that spell. The creature's spell becomes a token. Okay, interesting. Human wizard. Don't know that Volo was a wizard, but okay. Very nice, iconic Gloomstalker. As a ranger, it's a style of ranger you can be. As long as you've completed a dungeon, he has done double strike. Planar Ally. That's a very powerful spell for clerics and paladins. When he attacks, you venture into the dungeon. Very nice. Dungeon map, of course. Oh, we already saw him. And our wish spell. You may play a card you own from outside this game for 3. Wow, that's not very expensive for a wish spell. I'm not sure I understand the art. I mean, why would it be a bard? Or it looks like, yeah, it looks like a bard. She has a familiar frog messing with fire, but why does that have to do with a wish? Anyway, cool card. A little OP in my opinion. We'll see how it plays out. Critical hit. Nice. I wonder if they have fumble. They've got to have fumble if you have critical hit, you know? Target creature gains double strike. We roll nat 20. Return it from your graveyard to your hand. Nice. Very cool. I like that a lot. Now our black dragon. Excellent. I'm glad I'm getting, that's my 3rd dragon so far. Acid Breath, of course. A Pixie Guide. It's a fairy, okay. Granting an advantage. Nice. If you would roll more than dice, roll that one more and ignore the lowest. That's what advantage does. Excellent. I'm glad to see they incorporated advantage. All right. Neverwinter Druid. So Neverwinter is a forest. It's a dryad, I mean, not a druid. Interesting. So you can sacrifice her to put in another forest if you wanted to. A vampire spawn. Swarming goblins. Goblin, 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 goblin. Very nice. Makes either 1, 2, or 3 goblins. In addition to the goblins that are here. The hulking bugbear. I like the art. Got his wolf and his goblin next to him. Very nice. I like it. And he has haste because they do have surprise attacks. The bugbears do. And they're free. Rare. Very, very hard to find. Valor Singer. A tiefling bard. For combat inspiration. I like it a lot. Find the path. Venture into the dungeon. And you enchant a land. Gives you double force. Okay. Monk of the Open Hand. Flurry of Blows. Excellent. Iconic. Every monk gets it. They actually get it before Stunning Strike, which you talked about earlier. It's a 1. And you have to cast another spell to get a +1/+1. Very nice. And of course, Plate Mail. Plate Mail. Excellent. +3/+3 and Ward of 1. Very cool. And yet another vampire. I think that's my 4th. Charmed Sleep. When Charmed Sleep enters the battlefield, tap it. Okay. 1 is a very small dragon. But 2, if the creature takes any damage, they wake up. So if the dragon is falling, as soon as it hits the ground, it would wake up. But hey. It's one of the few cards I've seen that I'm not impressed with the art. It's a cool spell, I mean cool art, but not for that particular spell. They should have known better. Tisk tisk. Druid class, excellent. I'm loving these class cards. Gain a life whenever land, so landfall life, nice. Play an additional land. When this class becomes level 3, a target land becomes a creature. Okay, equal to the number of lands you control. Alright, not bad at all. And then, of course, the Temple of the Dragon Queen. There's Tiamat. And I like that art, though. Art is amazing. So as it's a land, you can reveal a dragon card from your hand. Again, we showed all those Dragonborn count. You choose a color and add one of that color. Okay. And a paladin. Nice. Spells that they cast during my turn cost more. Okay, creatures get +1. Whenever you attack, one creature gets one for each other creature and gain a double strike. Nice. Okay, very cool. I like it. You see a pair of goblins. I like that in the background. You see him sneaking up, and he's got two arrows drawn. Very nice. You can either charge them, or you can befriend them. Very nice. I'm loving these. Wild shape. Druid. Can't live without it. It's awesome. Choose one until the end of the turn. Target creature you control has the base power and toughness. Becomes that creature type and gains that ability. It becomes a turtle, a spider, or an elephant. Very nice. I like it. It only costs one. Sphere of Annihilation. Excellent. It's another great spell. Why is he casting it so high, though? Enters the battlefield with void counters on it. Exile the Sphere of Annihilation and all creatures and planeswalkers with value less than or equal to the number of void counters on it. And all creatures and planeswalker cards in graveyards with mana value. You exile them as well. Very nice. Very powerful artifact. So it's an artifact. Okay, cool. But you cannot add any tokens, any counters on it by itself. There are cards, obviously, that add tokens, add counters to the other cards, but by itself it doesn't have any. A Hoarding Ogre. Wow, so interesting art. When he attacks, he create a bunch of treasure tokens. Nice. I like that. 50 feet of rope. Awesome. So you can climb over, tie up, or rappel down with the 50 feet of rope. Very cool. They are very versatile. Dungeon of the Mad, so you can dungeon delve. Trilasara, Moon Dancer, an elf cleric. Ooh, you gain life, you scry as well as putting a counter on her. Here we go. A human knight paladin. Creates treasure tokens. Pay it if you pay a life. Treasure was spent. You can gain death touch. Nice. Alright, we're getting down closer to the end, folks. Close to the end. Grim Wanderer. Tragic backstory. This casts a spell only if a creature died this turn. A Goblin Warlock. Okay. Very big goblin. Interesting. Tragic backstory. That's so iconic, though, for D&D. That's awesome. And the Warlock class. Yes. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died, each opponent loses a life. Look at the top 3 cards of your library and put one of them in your hand. And then at the beginning of your end step, each opponent loses life equal to the life they lost this turn. Nice. Okay. Excellent. Sorcerer class. When a sorcerer class enters the battlefield, draw 2 cards. Creatures you control have add 1 of blue or red. And when you level 3, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, deals damage to each opponent equal to the number of instant and sorcery spells you've cast this turn. Alright, interesting. Our Hobgoblin. Very good. Goblin Barbarian with Pack Tactics. He gains first strike. Very nice. Very cool. Our Lair of the Hydra. Very cool looking. I like that tree in the shape of a Hydra. You can pay X and make it a Hydra. Very cool. I like a lot. I like these new lands where they come into Hapt if you don't have a lot of other lands. You've okay. Monks. Yes. Second spell you cast each turn is one less. Return a target to its hand. And at level 3, exile top card from a library. For as long as it remains exiled, you may cast this card from exile as long as you've cast another spell this turn. Okay, so pretty cool. I'm not sure what this has to do with monks. Don't see the correlation with monks. I would think you would do more damage and stuff, but Mimic, of course, you have to have the Mimic. So awesome. So it's a treasure. Counts as a treasure. Very nice. Very nice. So for those of you who sacrifice treasure tokens, you can do it this way. Actually, it's not a token, but if you sacrifice treasures. Very cool. Feign Death. Dueling Rapier. It's an artifact with flash. Very nice. Adult Gold Dragon. Wow. Very nice art. Flying, lifelink, and haste. And it costs 5 for a 4/3. Okay. I would have expected an adult gold dragon to be more powerful. But cool. Very cool. Doesn't do any kind of breath like the other ones do. Very nice. I'm happy to get the dragons. Loving the dragons. And there's just the urn. We also have Gun Huivar. I butchered that. So when he enters the battlefield, you create his cat. And whenever a creature dies, if it had power greater than the ranger, you put a +1/+1 on him until you equal the difference. Very nice. Very cool. It's a shame he's white, though. I'm not sure why he would. I mean, from the plane, he's a drow elf. You would think he would be black and green, but okay. I was gonna say I'm gonna add him to my green decks, but he requires white. Shocking Grasp. Shocking Grasp. Gots to love it. Well done. I like the art. And an owlbear, of course. Keen senses. Okay. Draw a card when he comes in. Another monk class. Alright, getting faster and faster. There's the Draco Lich. Ebon Death. The zombie dragon. He enters the battlefield tapped. You can cast it from your graveyard. If any other creature that wasn't named him died this turn, so whenever one of your other creature dies, you can cast him from your graveyard. Interesting. So I misspoke earlier. Those of you who are keeping track. A Bandit Lord. A Hobgoblin. Very true, very typical. You got bugbears behind him and other hobgoblins. Nice. Other goblins get +1/+1. Deals damage to the number of goblins that enter the battlefield to any target. Okay. Dragon's Disciple, a monk, of course. There's and that gives Ward 1 to all of your dragons. Very nice. A Dwarven Cleric. Doesn't get much more iconic than that. Maybe a half-orc barbarian is about the only thing that's more iconic than a dwarven cleric. Gain life, draw a card. Very nice. A white. Yeah. Love me some whites. Mainly because as soon as the whites come in, it's tons and tons of puns. It's just jokes about white supremacy and just we went on for like 5 minutes. I think the fight had already been over when and we were still making white jokes. It was excellent. Okay, let's see. You come to a river. You can either fight the current or you can find a crossing. Oh, I love these. I love these. An armory veteran. As long as the armory veteran is equipped, it has menace. Nice. I don't know what the heck that's supposed to be. Is it an orc, I guess? Interesting art. Another Evan Death. Thank you. Precipitous Drop. An enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you can venture into the dungeon. And if you've completed the dungeon, it gets 5/5. Interesting. So if I'm not mistaken, it can start as a 2/2, and then if you complete the dungeon, it will then turn into a 5/5. Interesting. Very cool. Ooh, another mythic rare. The Rogues. Nice. Alright, what does a rogue do? When a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you exile that library face down. You may look at it for as long as it remains exiled. Interesting. So that means the other player doesn't know which one got exiled. Creatures you control have menace. And then, of course, you can play the cards exiled with this class. I like the Rogue class a lot. So much better than some of the other ones I've seen. Hill Giant Herd Gorger. Gain 3 life. That's an odd life choice, okay. Split the party. Choose a target player, return half the creatures they control to their owner's hand. Okay. You don't want to split the party, so it looks like there's a spell splitting the party. Very funny. Interesting. And another Den of the Bugbear. Happy to get that. Thank you. A bullet. Nice, or bullet, depending on how you pronounce it. Very cool. Art, I think, could have been a little bit better, but very nice. I like how it's springing up out of the ground under the horse. And every time a creature dies, it gets bigger. Very cool. You happen upon a glade. You can journey on, or you can make camp. Loving it. Loving these cards. Oh, it's so cool. Treasure chest. Nice. You can sacrifice it and then you roll. It's either trapped, create a bunch of tokens, gain life, draw cards, search a library for a card. If it's an artifact, put it down onto the battlefield. Otherwise, put it in your hand. Wow. Really cool. Really cool. I like it. I'm so happy. There's only been like 1 or 2 cards that I haven't really liked in this. I thought they didn't do well. The Dawnbringer Cleric is a Cleric of Light. Cure Wounds, Dispel Magic, or Gentle Repose. Nice. That makes sense because Gentle Repose means you can't turn them into undead. And so it exiles them from the graveyard. So they can't come back. That is excellent. Dispel magic, destroys enchantment, and cure wounds, gain life. Nice. Nice. Well written. Well written. Really surprised they didn't have more spells in here, though. You know, I would have thought they would have taken a lot of these spells, put them in there. They've got a fireball and a magic missile, the other two I've seen. Shocking grasp. Yep. Alright, Loathsome Troll. Activate this if he's in your graveyard, and he will come back. Very nice. The Eye of Vecna. Yes! Now if I can just get the Hand of Vecna, then I can start building my deck around that, where you destroy all three and make this insane card. Draw a card and lose 2 life. Yep, because it hurts you. But you can draw a card and lose 2 life. Okay. I thought it would give you a little bit more benefits than that, but okay. Battle Cry, Goblin. Pack Tactics, of course. Contact Other Plane, very nice. It's an instant for 4. Just gives you cards, nice. And a Warhound. Halfling with his Mastiff. Very cool. I like it. Okay, when enters battlefield, you can search the library for a Plains card and put it on the card. It has Vigilance as well. For 2, a 3/1 with Vigilance, and you're gaining land. That's a nice card. Very cool. All right. Next to the last one, Bar the Gate. Counter target creature or planeswalker spell and venture into the dungeon. Nice. A dungeon crawler, a zombie. When you complete a dungeon, you may return him from the graveyard to your hand. Very cool. Last ones, folks. Thank you for hanging out with me, guys. I appreciate it. I hope this has been helpful. Compel Duel, that's a spell for Paladin. I think Rangers can get it too. And must be blocked if able. Nice. And the Fighter class. I was wondering if they were going to do a Fighter class. And there it is. You gain an equipment card. Equip abilities cost 2 less. And whenever a creature you control attacks, you can make somebody block you. Nice. Very nice. Okay. Boy. Of course, there are always things that I would have liked to have seen. But wow, did they do a good job with what they did. Amazing, amazing, amazing. One thing you guys did not see is I do have Lolth, the Spider Queen, Lolth. So let me find her for you. I can show you her. So there she is, again with that tiny little spider eating a horse. So she's a legendary planeswalker for 5. Whenever a creature you control dies, you can put a loyalty counter on her, so that's really nice. You pay 0 to draw a card, lose a life. -3 to create 2 spiders. And -8, you create an emblem that says whenever an opponent is dealt damage by one or more creatures you control, if that player lost less than 8 life this turn, they lose life equal to the difference. So basically, it just means no matter what, if you do damage to your opponent, they're going to take 8 damage a turn. So, not the most powerful planeswalker in the world, but definitely cool art, cool, decent abilities. Comes in at a 4, and the only way to add stuff to her is when a creature you control dies. So really good in those sacrifice decks where you make a bunch of tokens, throwing out, sacrificing your tokens, make a bunch of tokens, have them all attack, and as long as one of them hits, you know you're going to do 8 damage. So I can see how she would be useful. Not something you just throw in a deck willy-nilly. You have to build a deck around her as well. So very cool. The art, again, is really well done on this. So thank you. I will leave you with Lolf. Thank you for hanging out with me. I hope this was helpful. I'm going to be playing this off and on, incorporating these into my different decks that I have. I'm going to make the new Xanathar as my commander. So he's going to be a new commander. I'll probably do that later today or tomorrow. Build that deck with him in it as my brawl commander. Very cool. I'm loving these cards. I'm loving the dungeon aspect of it. My only question is I'm curious to see how it's going to play out because it seems to be you can only delve so many times a turn and so many times per game. And you can have up to 3 going at once, if I understand the mechanic correctly. So I'm curious to see how that actually plays out. How many times you're going to actually be able to finish a dungeon, that type of thing. Because there are a lot of cards that require you to finish a dungeon and they give you a bonus. So we'll see how it plays out. Great job, Wizards of the Coast. I'm done rambling. Like, subscribe. You're gonna have to follow me on Twitch if you want to catch these live, because unlike my other streams, my Magic the Gathering Arena streams are not scheduled anymore because of lots of different changes that happened. So follow me on Twitch or just watch them on YouTube afterwards. Here's my stuff. Very easy. Just search YouTube for Svenster77 and you can find all my on my playlist, Messing Around with Magic the Gathering. This is number 41. So lots of them to look at. And I also have a special one opening of Strixhaven that was live IRL real cards with Honey Badger Sven and my friend Jofu Panda. So they were here as well. One last quote to sign us off. Raising a family is hard unless they are buried together, said the necromancer. So whatever else you do, enjoy the rest of your day.